Here's a look at how I handle propagation and cultivation of pineapples. I didn't look to see exactly how many videos there were already on YouTube about this, but we'll just go ahead and throw caution to the wind and do a pineapple video. What I'll do is I'll start with, this is a store-bought pineapple right here, and I picked it up this morning at the grocery store. One thing I noticed when I was picking pineapples is that some of them had their little first emerging interior leaves ripped out of them. I don't know if that's just some stalker or somebody in the pipeline that was bringing pineapples in pulls them out, but I noticed quite a few of them, almost half of them, had these centers ripped out of them. I don't know if that helps delay the aging of the pineapple or the ripening, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a store-bought. So to get into the propagation aspect, what you want to do obviously is cut this away from the fruit, process the fruit. And what I do is I rip off a lot of these little leaves at the base of this new vegetative body, or whatever we'll call that, the plant itself. And that will, when you do that, let's go over here. I did this one about 3 or 4 days ago. Just said, and as an aside, you can see there's water in these, and we just had some rain. So one thing to do is, police these things just about daily, or whenever you get rain. You don't want them sitting in water too much. Anyway, this was done a few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, and as you can see, we stripped off all the stuff. The little leaflets on there, left a few in there, and as you can tell, the top isn't looking so hot, but that's okay. Down in the core, in the very heart there's newly emerging stuff, and that's good. And about a third of the time you'll get rot out on these things, so don't despair. Just eat a lot of pineapple and have a lot of these tops handy. So 3 or 4 days, within probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'll start to see little roots start to come out somewhere where you can see the top of where the fruit body was, and where there's this sort of transitional zone right here where my pinky is. And this is an example of one that's I've had maybe 4 weeks, and you can see the roots already starting to go. Now, if you want to get fancy and all technically proficient with chemicals and stuff, you can get a rooting hormone or a rooting starter compound to put in this water. You could even put a little bit of nutrients in there if you want, but I've found over the years that it's really not necessary. You just stick this thing in water. One caveat though, and you can see right there, there's a mosquito larvae swimming around there, so you want to change that water out. So I'll do that in a minute. As soon as I see those little suckers swimming around in there, I get rid of it. So here's one I picked yesterday from a not my property, but somebody else's property, and I was astonished that the fruit was this mature, this yellow, and still on the plant, because usually the vermin like to get these things before we do. Their idea of ripe and our idea of ripe are two different things. So I was really shocked to see this much coloration on the pineapple, and it not having been disturbed by a possum or a raccoon or anything like that. So this was picked yesterday. About the ideal size and weight for what I see in dooryard growing in Florida. When you compare it to a commercial, it's maybe a third smaller than the commercial. So, but this is kind of rare to see them this yellow. Let's walk over here and I'll show you some of the ones I've got going. More typical of what you'll see when you're ready to pick. This one is green, and of course it depends on the variety. We usually get the golden ones. I don't remember what their trade name is, but they're the gold fruited one or yellow fruited one. This one's pretty darn close. And as I mentioned, the vermin, I'm going to keep an eye on this thing, and maybe put something around it, or a cage around it, or something to try to discourage predation or fruitation or whatever. So, and here's another one that's not quite there, but it's moving along. So anyway, quick little primer on pineapple cultivation, how I do things. And when that one that I showed you with the roots on it, that's just ostensibly ready to go on the ground. Let me walk over here. I throw these things everywhere in my yard, these little pineapples. Somewhere around here I know I've got and ones that I just put in recently. Yeah, here's one I just put in a few weeks ago. I just stick it in with some leaf litter and let it go, and your turnaround time between here, where it goes in the ground after maybe a month of rooting, and the time you're going to get fruit like the ones we just saw, is probably about 1.5 to 2 years. So it's a patience game. But I've got literally dozens of pineapples in the yard. I'd say I get maybe 2 a year, 3 a year. So that's good enough for me. It's really delicious. So anyway, Pineapple 101 and different stages of cultivation and propagation.